If you're not using AI to help you in your work, then you're not making use of a very capable assistant. So the question is, how do you balance the two? How do you balance using AI to your advantage and at the same time ensuring that it doesn't take over what is essentially your job?
How did this idea of becoming a lawyer came into your mind?
Interestingly, in school, I was quite dead set on doing dentistry.
Are you a no lawyer or are you a yes but lawyer?
I think I am largely known as a yes but lawyer. When they get a no from somebody else, they come to me.
With all these innovations happening in the AI, people are very uncertain these days. So, if you want to give some advice to somebody who's starting out today, what advice would you give them?
I think
Hi, Aishwaria. Welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
Hi, Prayank. Thank you so much for having me. I'm doing really well, thank you. How are you doing?
Doing fantastic, and I'm really excited to have you on board and also delve into so many things which you are doing these days. And before we begin and get into your journey and everything, I just want to ask you this question. Simple. Are you excited, nervous? What are you feeling today?
Well, I'm mostly excited. It's
Hmm.
not the first time I'm doing a podcast, so I'm
Oh,
not
interesting.
unfamiliar with this process. But
Hmm.
I'm also a little bit nervous because it is probably the first time I'm being interviewed instead of being the interviewee. So that's a
Oh.
little bit. It's interesting to be on this side of
Hmm.
of things. So I'm definitely excited. Yeah,
I'm sure you will be having a lot of fun today then, spending your time on the other side.
I believe so.
Interesting. So why don't we start this while discovering who Aishwarya is? So when I say discovering, I would love to know how was your childhood, how was your college days, and what prompted you to become a lawyer, and how are you progressing into the in-house role? So we'll start from your childhood days, and it would be even better if you can share some of the stories which you remember from your early childhood days until now, which you think are defining stories in your life, things which made you who you are today.
Okay. Okay, that's very interesting question, and certainly not something that I thought would be the beginning of this podcast. So, firstly, thank you for that question.
Thank you.
It's
My
really
pleasure.
it makes you think, really. Well, to start off, as a child, I lived in several cities across the country. My
Hmm.
father had a transferable job, so we were moving almost every 3 years. And what that meant is every 3 years, I would be in a new city, new school,
Hmm.
and having to make new friends and basically start my uh, life in a new place all over again.
Yeah.
Now, I remember even as a child, I used to both like and dislike the entire process. I particularly disliked the fact that each time I had to let go of all of these beautiful friends that I had made. And we're
Hmm.
talking about the early 2000s, right? There was no
Yeah.
real concept of cell phones, at least not for us kids. And there was no social media. So you, in a real way, lost touch unless you made
Right.
the effort to remember or take down their phone numbers and like make a call, which would be an STD
Hmm.
call, which would be expensive.
Yeah.
So you lost touch with a lot of people over the years. So, one of the most defining things about my childhood was the fact that I didn't have any one place that I could
Hmm.
say I belong to or come from.
Hmm.
And I think the longest amount of time that I spent during my childhood in any one place would be in Mumbai, where I spent, I think, a total of 8 years, but in broken bits and pieces. Like I
Wow.
said, we
Okay.
moved every 3 years, right? So a total of 8 years, but we moved a lot. So it was broken down into two different stints. And because of that,
Mhm.
I do have a little bit of an identity crisis, at least in college. As soon as I entered college, when people asked, "Where are you from?" I would just
Yeah.
stare blankly because, well, where am I from? Like, so I think the simple answer is I'm a Tamilian, but I've lived
Mhm.
across the country in all the major cities of the country. And I largely belong to Mumbai because that's who I
Mhm.
identify as. I identify largely as a Mumbaikar. So then that is that. That's my childhood. But that itself, the moving itself, was
Mhm.
very formative, and it informed a lot of my character and my interests and even my outlook of the world. Because today, I can very proudly say that I have the ability to connect with almost anybody that I come across,
Mhm.
and I am able to find something in common, either culture wise
Okay.
or interest
Yeah.
wise,
Yeah.
and talk to them, make them feel comfortable. And I largely attribute that particular skill to the fact
Mhm.
that I moved so much as a child. And I think that gave me the skill to adapt to any situation and find commonality and common ground with
Mhm.
anybody, whether I'm talking to a new person as a friend, or I'm talking to a client, or I'm talking to a potential employer, whatever it is. It allows me to
Mhm.
find some kind of commonality, and I think that has been my biggest takeaway and one of my biggest strengths
Interesting.
of the life that I've lived so far. So yeah.
Absolutely. Yes. Yes. So childhood days went into moving. Of course, the middle age
Yes.
would have been part of that. How was your college life?
College life. College was very interesting. I went to college at NUJS Kolkata,
Mhm.
and it was one of the first times that I was away from home for such a long period of time, 5 years, right?
Yeah.
And hostel life was one of the best things that could ever happen to me personally. And a little
Mhm.
story about that is actually, I had my heart set on NLS Bangalore, like as
Mhm.
everybody is. Like when I was
Yeah.
preparing for CLAT, I was I was so focused with one pointed concentration that I must get into NLS Bangalore, and I was doing my prep around the same time as in Bombay during 12th standard, right? So it was with such obstinate uh, uh, I was so headstrong about the fact that no, I must get into Bangalore, and if I don't get into NLS Bangalore, then everything else is a failure, and that kind of tells you what kind of a person I am and the kind of standards I set for myself, right? Um, CLAT happened. I did not get into NLS, but I did get into
Mhm.
NUJS, and I'll tell you something very honestly. Until I actually got into the college, I didn't know even the arrangement of letters in WBNUJS, let alone the full form of WBNUJS.
Wow.
So yeah, that was that is something that I was like,
That's hilarious.
yeah, it's so funny in hindsight because
Yeah.
it was with that kind of you know utter blindedness that I was like, nahi, I have to do NLS,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
NLS didn't happen. Um, and I think that is the best thing that could have ever happened to me, not getting into NLS and getting into NUJS.
Okay.
And I tell this story often because NUJS allowed me to access or to come in touch with a different part of me. Because NUJS gave me extremely precious friends that
Mhm.
I am friends with even today. We met on the first day of college, and we are friends and I'm friends with them even today. But
Nice.
also, NUJS allowed me to try different aspects of mm, my personality, get in touch with who I
Mhm.
am. You know, I did theater for the first time in NUJS,
Oh, lovely.
and that it told me that one of my biggest passions in life is acting and performance
Hmm.
on stage. I and you just gave me the opportunity to not just focus on the academics part of law,
Mhm.
but also enjoy law school as an experience as a whole. And
Nice.
I don't think I would have had the same kind of experience in NLS. Just me being me.
Yeah.
I think I owe that to my college a lot.
Mhm.
So yeah.
Lovely. Yes. Whatever happens, happens for a reason. So I think
Yes,
you found your good
absolutely.
friends. You found a passion for theater. I think all of those was all of these things were written in by the destiny for you. So I think you just got there.
Absolutely. 100%.
Nice.
I
Lovely.
100% agree. Yeah.
And how did this idea of becoming a lawyer came into your mind?
That's also an interesting story, actually, because
Mhm.
nobody in my family before I chose to do law was a lawyer. So I am the first lawyer in my family. Subsequently, a lot of my cousins have taken up that
Oh,
mantle as
nice.
well, but
Very good.
I was the first in the family. And it just so happened that we in school, I was quite dead set on doing dentistry, in fact, because I had a very cool
Hmm.
dentist and
Hmm.
I was inspired. So I thought, okay, maybe BDS was the way to go.
Hmm.
But we had a career counseling in our school
Hmm.
that the school had arranged for. And based on the results of the aptitude tests and the skills and
Hmm.
interests that you got marked on, we had a counseling session. And our counselor at that time, I'll never forget this. She said, you're really good. Like your skills, based on that, I think you can do whatever you want. However, based on your interests, you might want to consider a career that actually puts you in front of people, where you get to interact with people a lot more.
Hmm. Hmm.
And so she suggested three things. She suggested advertising, she suggested journalism, and law. And when she said
Wow.
law, I think there was some kind of tube light that went off in my head and my mother's hair. She was right there. And we both sort of kind of looked at each other and we were like, oh, well, that makes sense. That's not something that we'd ever considered before. And interestingly, in that same week, there were two other instances, completely unconnected, of different people
Hmm.
telling me that I should take up law as a career because my skills were suited to that profession.
Okay.
And it was completely unconnected. So, three different sources in the span of 1 week telling me that law is something I should consider. So, again, I took it as a divine sign. And it was something that the universe was telling me, hey, just, sort
Yeah.
of nudging you in the right direction a little bit.
Right.
I think it, again, never regretted that decision once. I think it was the best
Hmm.
thing I could have done because it suits me. It combines a lot of my interests. And yeah, I think is the best thing that could have happened to me.
Interesting. Very, very good. Very good. This is nice. I mean, uh, that the college, your school itself arranged that career counseling, which gave you this direction, and I think it's beautiful that you ended up becoming a lawyer. Do you hate it or love it now?
No, I still quite really like it. I don't, I quite like the law itself.
Hmm.
Um, I think there are different, again, even within the law, there are certain things that I really enjoy doing. But having studied it and having practiced for so many years now, the one thing I have realized is um, it's not rocket science. It's actually
True.
really, really logical.
Yes.
And
100%.
that kind of tells me, and the fact that not everybody can do it tells me that logic is a rare commodity, I guess. It's not taught well in schools, which
Mm.
it should
Mm.
be, because if
Yeah.
you understand logic well, anyone can be a lawyer.
Yes. And if you look at from that outside lens, or look from it at 30,000 view, everybody is actually a lawyer. You are convincing somebody for something, you are argumenting in front of people when things are not going your way, or and you are fighting the battles when things are against you,
Yeah.
and trying to defend yourself, your family, your friends, your company, whatever, in whatever way you can, with whatever limited resources you have. So you are doing that. It's just that we as lawyers, we get paid to do the same thing.
Agreed. Except I think we can take it one step forward and say that we excel because we are taught to and trained to. We
Yeah, of
excel
course.
in
Yes, we chose
looking
it.
for, yeah, we excel in looking for ways that we can defend ourselves better or put our
Yeah.
points across better. And
Yes.
I think I'm pretty sure you've also heard this. Like the minute we enter law school and we start training our brains to think a certain way, thinking like a lawyer, like it's called, we
Yeah.
instantly become menaces in the house because once you learn how to see things in that way, once you learn how to pick loopholes in an argument or
Yeah.
identify things like hasty generalization or the red herring or, the different kinds of uh, problems, you just people in your family start hating you because it's that I can't even talk to you anymore.
Yeah.
There's
There's
no
no
winning with
argument. Yeah.
you.
Exactly.
Yeah, I
No
faced that
point
a
of
lot. I'm
even
sure
asking.
you did
Yeah.
too. Yeah.
Everybody, everybody, not just you and me, but everybody must
Yeah.
be facing those things. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's fun. That's the fun part.
Yeah, I
So
know,
on the
absolutely. Yeah.
yeah. So Aishwarya, let's move towards the work side of things, where
Mhm.
you are in-house counsel in the current role. What so what's your identity in the company? Are you a no lawyer, or are you a yes but lawyer? What kind of a
Uh,
lawyer are
um, I think I am largely known as a yes but lawyer
you? Okay.
because I am I am told very often that when they get a no from somebody else, uh,
Mm-hmm.
they come to me. And
Okay.
I try to find a solution that will work for both them and
Mm-hmm.
something that is not going to put us as a company in trouble. So I have learned, I think, especially during my recent stint in this particular company, I have learned to try and find solutions with what the team wants, with what the business teams want, rather
Mm-hmm.
than simply say, no, this doesn't work. Because one of the things I have learned is as a lawyer, you're there to help the business
Mm-hmm.
team. So
Yeah.
simply saying no and blocking something is not good for anybody. At the end of the day, your salary is also getting paid by the business that the business team is bringing in.
Correct.
So it's important to find a solution that is going to work for everybody without compromising the integrity or the policies or the security of the company, which
Mm-hmm.
is your job at the end of the day to protect, right? So yeah, very much a yes and or a yes but. So hey, can this be done? Sure. However,
Mm-hmm.
let me tell you why I think that maybe not this, maybe this is a better way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're always, the minute you're, even you, I'm sure, you could go to your, a parent, even as a child, like, if you went to your parent and said, Mama, can I have chocolate? Right? And your mother instantly said no. You're going to get irritated. Right.
Yeah.
However, if she said, sure, however, let's have chocolate after dinner, you're okay with that.
Right.
So it's also a matter of psychology.
Yes.
You get
Absolutely.
them to work with you by saying, I'm
Mm-hmm.
here to work with you and not against you. And so that
Mm.
is how I work.
Interest, interesting. So how important is a cross-team collaboration for you, which defines success for you?
Extremely,
Mm-hmm.
extremely important. There is, see, as a lawyer, when you are in charge of a contract, when you have the ownership of a contract, you and I both know, has multiple sections, right? You have the actual business section where you're talking about the products being sold or purchased, and the services being provided. You have that part of it, and the technicalities and the specifications. That's not something I can take a call on. That's not something I can work with. However, I need to know what is happening, and to know that, I need to speak to and be in constant touch with the business teams, get them to explain to me exactly what is happening. Next, you have, and if you are from the vendor side, you need the supply chain team on board.
Right.
And then you need, because they're going to be able to tell you what the delivery schedule looks like, what the RMA process is, what the warranties are, what the repair process is, all of that. Then you have the accounts team, because you need to ensure that they are looped in and they know exactly when the payments have to go out or when they're coming in, what the payment terms are, what the penalties are, and things, what the milestones, basically all payment terms related, because that is going to link to the bigger picture of the company wide revenues, and it's going to uh, have an impact on cash flows and all of that. So when you look at a contract, it cannot ever be a one dimensional thing. I am in charge of a very small part of it. I can count on my fingers how many sections I have to look at and I can take a call on. Because at the end of the day, the contract is a piece of document that is serving the business team and the revenue team, right? I am a facilitator. And as a facilitator, it is of utmost importance that I get everybody on board and ensure that everybody knows what's happening in every part of the contract. And so sometimes one way to do it is you have, emails going back and forth, or everybody working on a single document, or that can sometimes get really, really overwhelming when you have documents that run into pages and pages. So then you have nothing to do but except maybe arrange for a call. That, in today's environment, and especially in the kind of organization that I'm working in, is a cross border call, where I have teams sitting in America, I have teams sitting in East Asia, I have teams sitting in the Middle East, and bringing all of them at a time that suits everybody, and then getting everybody to give their opinions on a call, so that I can, while we are talking, I can edit the document. Sometimes that's the only way to go about it. But yeah, you can never have a document or a contract that has not been seen by every stakeholder, because then you've and if you have such a contract, if a contract gets signed, then you've not done your job right, because at the end of the day, I'm in charge, I'm the owner of that document.
Okay. Right. Right. Understood. So, tell me one thing, Aishwarya. How does your typical day look like? Is it planned beforehand, or there are many surprises which come your way?
I've had both kinds of days.
Okay.
I have had days where I know exactly what is on my schedule. I have my table, my list is there ready. I know I have things going. I have maybe 5, 6 things that I have to get to. And then, once in a while, like one little small thing, hey, can you answer this query or whatever. Sometimes, however, if you're working on a big deal, and sometimes that deal can be very, very dynamic, and I've had such days where every 2 hours, something about that deal changes. And so you have to go
Okay.
back to the drawing board and start it again. So you've been told we need a sort of like a frame agreement for this particular contract, and these are the main parts. The rest of it will come. A lot of times, you don't have more than that to go with. You're told very basic information, and a lot of times you have to ask, okay, hey, this is all also things that I need. Is it going to, what are the Incoterms going to look like? What are the, when are we planning? Is it going to be a staggered delivery? Is all of it going at once? When is the payment coming in? So a lot of times you don't get all of this information all at once.
Okay.
You have to ask for it.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes what happens is you get a piece of information, and then 2 hours later that changes. And so then you have to restructure and redraft the same, section.
Yeah.
And that happens largely when you're dealing with a very big deal,
Mm-hmm.
and with a lot of moving parts and things where business teams are still negotiating, but they've asked you to start with the contract draft already. So I've
Mm-hmm.
had those kind of days as well, and those days are endless. Like you start at 6 a.m., 6:30 a.m., because like I said, you have
Multi-country.
yeah,
Yeah.
multi-country and like those kind of calls, and then you end at 11:30, 12, and that I would say is an early day in that kind of a situation. I've had,
Okay.
months together where that has been my
Mm-hmm.
routine, and I've not stepped out of my room if I'm working from home. And largely these
Okay.
kind of deals I work from home, because
Mm-hmm.
it's traveling to and fro office from um, with this kind of Bangalore traffic is just it's quite pointless. Like, so you're wasting a lot of time in traffic and commuting. So
Mm-hmm.
I've had those kind of days as well, but I think those happen only when there's a very big deal with a lot of moving parts. Usually, it's a structured day. Like I know what I'm doing for the day, and there are very few things that go haywire. So,
Mm-hmm. Interesting. So, I, as I told you last time as well, I spoke to almost 100 plus general counsels in the last 6 months, and they've
yeah,
all shared some of the challenges which they are facing these days. Some of them share challenges on the IP front, that the deadline, that the time it takes to get a patent approved, time it takes to get a trademark approved in India or in the
right,
US, the different charges of the external agencies, hourly
right,
charges. Nobody knows how much the legal budget is or how much it's all going to cost. So there are
right.
multiple such challenges which people have shared. What are the challenges which you as a counsel at Radisys you are facing? And if you would like to change some of those things, let's say if you want to bring a change in those, what would those challenges be where you would like to first change them?
Hmm. Okay. Interesting question. I think one of the things I am seeing lately is there's a rise in the way privacy clauses are structured. And
Hmm.
because a lot of times when you are doing uh, licensing for software that includes AI, the question is,
Yeah.
how does AI get licensed? Like, is it a service? Is it
Hmm.
code? What is it? So I think that is a question that seems to be popping up a lot, and I've done
Hmm.
some reading of on it as well. But I mean, that's not a company specific or a my role
Hmm.
specific thing. I think it's an
Okay.
industry wide question. How would you because there are people who say at the end of the day it's code, but then you have another point of view that says that you are providing services. So then what
All
there
right.
would be, the way you would structure that would be like a service agreement and
Hmm.
not a mere licensing agreement. So I think that is an industry-wide challenge that I am seeing these days, especially with the company that I'm working with and the kind of contracts I'm seeing, the deals that I'm seeing.
Hmm.
From a more like a legal counsel in a tech company kind of a role, I think. Uh, what shall we? This is interesting. I can't think of any a major challenge. Like what you've said, what you've talked about is true. Like you don't have the time it takes for patent approvals and trademark approvals. Trademark approval, I'll give you an example. We are trying to
Hmm.
get a particular mark registered in India, and we
Okay.
filed the application in 2022, and we still don't have it. And that's
Wow.
something. Yeah.
Yeah, that's too much.
Yeah, that's a lot. It's been
Hmm.
3.5 years since we filed
Yeah.
our application. So it really is a question of, honestly, what is the registrar doing? Why is it
Yeah.
taking that long? And we've provided everything. We have uninterrupted use since the 80s. So
Hmm.
you think that it wouldn't be that hard, but then um say our timeline and fees is definitely something, but I think a lot of it these days has to do with the emergence of AI and how you're going to uh, it's both the use of AI in work.
Hmm.
Another thing
Hmm.
is, how much are you allowed to use artificial intelligence to help you as a general counsel in a company? Because you have, we're generally told, right? A lot of the information that you put into the AI, that's not protected, that's not secure. And then
Hmm.
if you're putting client information or any any kind of sensitive
Sensitive
information
information.
into
Yeah.
any AI generated assistant or whatever, um, it's you're essentially breaking confidentiality or breaching confidentiality. However, on the other hand, if you're not using AI to help you in your work, then you're not making use of a very capable assistant,
Yeah.
and eventually you are going to get um, it's going to get like you're not going to be able to keep up because AI is here to
Hmm.
stay whether we like it or not,
Yep.
right? So the question is, how do you balance the two? How do you balance using AI to your advantage and at the same time ensuring that it doesn't take over what is essentially your job? Because it can
Hmm.
also, I've seen these days, I see people come up with I've seen certain team members come up to me and say, hey Aishwarya, we need such and such contract, and I took the liberty of drafting one on chat GPT.
GPT.
Down,
Yeah.
there it is. And I'm just thinking, well, I wish you'd just given it to me because I'm not going to use any of that. None of what you have just given me makes sense. So maybe just leave the contract drafting to me. Just leave it to the experts. We'll
Hmm.
take it.
Right.
It's what we're getting
But
paid for here.
imagine
So
exactly. But just an
so
extension to this
yeah.
contract incidents. What if that GPT is
Mhm.
trained on your data set, on how you review the contract, on how you draft the contracts, how you want to write a privacy clause, how do you approve those contracts? And if then that problem statement comes to you and you feed that information to your AI copilot or AI bot, which is trained just on Aishwarya's
Correct.
data,
You're right.
then you would have something which is at
Right.
least 80%
But
good.
how feasible is that? You're right, 100%, which is why I'm saying that it's not a bad idea to use AI at like completely, but at the same time you have to be careful because um, while AI is trained on what you do, what you say,
Hmm.
it's not, at least the way I believe it works, is it's not completely insulated from the rest of the ecosystem, right? Like so, sometimes errors do creep in, and
Yeah.
not sometimes. I think quite a few times errors do creep in, and then if you're
These days it's
relying
even
entirely
higher.
on that. Right,
Yeah.
exactly. And if you're relying entirely on that, for example, if you say that okay, there is an AI assistant that is trained entirely on the way I draft contracts, and then somebody in my team says, okay, hey, can you draft XYZ contract with the way Aishwarya does it, and it shows it without showing any human
Hmm.
the result before working on that or sending it across or however that goes, that's a problem.
Yeah, I agree. I'm with
Because
you
a
on this.
lot of times, yeah, because a lot, and I maintain my stance on this. Negotiation requires two people to connect, not just intellectually but
Hmm.
emotionally. I need to be able to
Hmm.
read your body language and the
Hmm.
cues that your voice is giving, that
Yeah.
I can see, that like my body can take from you, even subconscious cues, and work off of that. And if you're leaving contract negotiation to AI, then well, good luck, because there's nothing that's going to get actually done to anybody's satisfaction. They say a good negotiation or a good deal is when neither
Yeah.
party is satisfied, but then AI is going to leave you not just not satisfied, but highly dissatisfied, because you're not going to come to a conclusion. You're not,
Mhm.
because you're not talking to a human. And that's the essence, that's the basis of negotiation, because you're talking to another human. And this is what I believe. Yeah, AI is important, but like get them to do
Mhm.
your other
All right.
work for you. Actually speak to the person when you're making deals. And I think um,
Mhm.
that I think is crucial.
Interesting. So basically, you're advocating human in the loop ecosystem for the use of AI, where AI does those work. Human comes in, reviews, ensures that, and be the face, when it comes to any negotiation deals, so
Yes,
that you establish that relationship, you
absolutely.
establish that repo, use it to your advantage, and close the deals. Otherwise, you'll just get into the back and forth with and prompting with the tool, which is not gonna make the cut anyways.
Absolutely. You very articulately put all
Interesting.
my ramblings
Interesting.
together.
So, Aishwarya, if you were to start your career afresh today,
Mhm.
which domain or what career would you choose in today and why?
I have always loved IPR. So I know I will stick
Oh,
to
interesting.
IPR. I've loved IPR since I was in second year of law school, which is when I was first introduced to the subject.
Hmm.
I think um, I think it had something largely to do with the fact that I also saw myself as somebody who was able to understand the legal aspect of the creative side of things.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
I think 100% I would stick to IPR. And I don't think that I would really change much in my trajectory, that
Hmm.
in the trajectory that my career has currently taken, because I have worked in law firms. I've done I've had the experience, I've had the good fortune of working with some of the biggest law firms in the country, and understanding what transactional uh, law is,
Hmm.
understanding what due diligence is, how to actually sit across the table and negotiate. Then I've gone into litigation and did a bunch of copyright and trademark litigation, and again with
Hmm.
a very well-known law firm. And I think both those stints gave me invaluable experience and confidence to
Hmm.
come to an in-house role and be able to stand my ground and say, no, I know what I am talking about.
Right.
I know law firms are generally have a very bad rep, and rightfully so, for the kind of stress that they put you under. And it's a very difficult job being a law
Hmm.
firm lawyer, so there is no denying that. However, there's also no denying the kind of training that you get at a law firm, which you just don't get anywhere else. So my advice to young lawyers, people who've just graduated, is always go to a place where law is the core function,
Hmm.
right? So whether that's a litigation firm or with a lawyer, practicing lawyer, or a law firm, if corporate law is what you want to do. So if transaction law is what you want to do, then a corporate law firm. But do your foundation in a place where
Hmm.
law is the core function. Because once you do move in house, and a lot of people do, because it's a
Yeah.
much sweeter deal being in house. You get to practice law, you get to and when I say practice law, you get to be in the legal circuit, and at the same
Yeah.
time you get to have some semblance of a work life balance, which is
Hmm.
usually absent when you're working in law firms.
Yeah.
So
Interesting.
I don't think I would change the trajectory my career has taken. I would stick to IPR. I enjoy doing corporate law. I would maybe in also work with entertainment and media law because that is a little bit of a passion project of mine, especially because
Hmm.
I am a creative. But I like that I am in tech law. I like that I'm doing
Interesting.
corporate law, and I don't think I would change that.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Since you have your love for the IP as a subject, I would love to understand how
Mhm.
important is IP for a tech company like yours?
I think our company runs because of IP. Like
Hmm.
our main product is a certain software, a stack that we license. It is the bread and butter of the company that I work with. And so protecting that in every way possible is unquestionably uh, the most important aspect of our company, of my work in the company.
Hmm.
And I think tech itself, the foundation of tech is intellectual property. And the question is, how are you going to protect it? You have various ways, but like, how are you going to protect your source code? How are you going to protect the invention that you've made, the new way of making phone calls or allowing video calls? I give you an example. Um, when when the pandemic struck,
Hmm.
a lot of companies, a lot of businesses were going under, were unable to perform, unfortunately. However, our company did really well because it was the main provider of the software that allows for video calling to happen.
Interesting. You
So
guys have the patent for it.
video calls are oh, we had the IP for it. That's right. So yeah, we benefited, or
Hmm.
rather, let me put it this way: the world benefited because our company was able to provide its IP and
Hmm.
facilitate video calling and facilitate
Interesting.
businesses to run continuously because
Hmm.
video calling could existed at that point. So
Nice.
even today,
Interesting.
even phone calls
Yes.
that you make today
Hmm.
go through our systems. Yeah. So
Interesting.
we're not a B2C company. We are a B2B company. So
B2B.
yeah.
Interesting. So tell me, how do you incentivize or promote IP internally in the organization where every engineer or everybody who's in the team is continuously thinking about building those moat, identifying those areas which can be protected so that, like the telephone example which you gave or the video conferencing example you gave, how is your company able to identify such strong and important inventions,
Mhm.
protect them, and continue the culture of doing so?
Okay, and I'll give you. I think my company, the company that I work with, which is Radisys India Limited,
Mhm.
it has something very unique that it does on an annual basis, which is it holds a hackathon of sorts, which is called a
Okay.
Prayathon. And what that does, the way it's essentially a contest for every single employee in the
Hmm.
company can participate. There is absolutely
Okay.
no eligibility criteria other than the fact that you are a Radisys employee.
That's it.
And
Okay.
what that does is you can form teams and you can come up
Hmm.
with any product that you think, either create a new product or fix something in the existing products that we have or the services
Hmm.
that we provide that require fixing, right? And it takes about, the whole process takes about 4 to 5 months, right from submission of ideas and the ideas getting
Okay.
evaluated, and then you being like moved to the next level of the competition where you start writing your code and you start actually
Hmm.
implementing the idea that you have. And then you have a 48-hour event where people are coding through
Okay.
And that's a really fun event because you also have on the one hand, you have teams sitting in office throughout the 48 hours coding. So you have
Mm.
the staff places, gaddas, like, mattresses so that you
Yeah,
can
mattresses and
sleep.
bean
And
bags and
you have
whatever.
like
Yeah, yeah,
overnighters and stuff like that. It's beautiful.
yeah.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And on the other hand, you have uh, these cultural programs that are uh,
Ooh.
organized for the rest of us, because as a
Mm-hmm.
lawyer, I'm not going to actually code, but I get to participate in codeathon by contributing to the cultural aspect of things. So it's like a mini sort of annual day sort of thing. And then
Interesting.
uh, and and now this is the fun part. So at the end of the 48 hours,
Mm-hmm.
you have about a week or two between the 48-hour event and the announcement of results. And in that 48 hours, and in that period, the
Mm-hmm.
teams present their work to the judges.
Okay.
And each one is a very detailed presentation with questions and answers. And it's really well done, because at the end of the day,
Mm-hmm.
you, out of your own volition, are making a product for the company.
Mm. Very good.
And once you do that, once the
Mm-hmm.
winners are announced, you obviously, and there are so many different verticals, so you have different, so it's not across the board there's only one winner, although you have the champion of champions, but you have like a champion for each vertical, depending
Oh,
on
okay.
whether you've chosen to do mobility engineer, or media engineer,
Mm-hmm.
depending on
Mm-hmm.
what vertical you are working with, and uh, what the idea is presented for. And after that, you also have another aspect, which is from the previous codeathon to the next
Okay.
codeathon, basically within the
Mm-hmm.
span of 1 year. If you are able to take your idea to market, that is a whole other,
Mm-hmm.
there's a wall of fame for all the products on all
Mm-hmm.
the services and
Wow.
everything that has been taken to market in a span of 1 year. And that's called the Legends Wall in our company, and it is
Mm-hmm.
full.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to invite you to come and see that, because it's a matter
Wow.
of pride to have your name, your
I'm
picture,
sure.
and your work on the wall for everybody to see. And so
That's really
that's how
impressive.
Radisys
Wow.
encourages initiative. Yes, and it's a fabulous way to ensure that the employees not only work on what they're told to work on, but actually think about how they can contribute to the company itself.
Right.
And of course, when it comes to the IP protection, we have an IP protection. We have a team that is formed along with one of my legal team members
Mm-hmm.
and engineering members and things like that. That evaluate ideas and see what needs to be registered and what not. But that's a small part of thing. I think the concept of creating IP
Yeah.
and encouraging initiative among the people is of utmost importance because only after you create IP can you protect it. So
Absolutely. Absolutely. This is very great initiative, and I would love to uh, be in the office and have the basically. I want to just experience the whole process, the wall of legends, and
please,
everything,
I'm happy
because
to invite
that
you.
that'll that will the wall itself will speak a lot, and I would just want to be there and see what all everybody has done and how they have done it for the company, not just for themselves but for the company, for the greater good. This is a really great initiative. So this makes me wonder, who drives the initiative then? Like, who is the main driver for all your IP, for all your creation? Is it the founder? Is it the CTO? Is it the legal? Who owns this
The the IP is owned by the company, but then who owns this is
initiative overall? Like,
it's usually
who is
our
that
right,
driving
right.
force?
So it was started by our former MD,
Okay,
who is the head of engineering, and it's been continued since. So I think it
nice.
has been going on for the last 8 to 10 years now.
Wow.
So but you need to understand that it's a collective sort of effort, and owned, yes, the ownership is the MD, of course, but it's something that the entire office participates in, and with a lot of enthusiasm, I must add. So
I'm sure.
yeah.
I'm sure.
So I think it's a great way, especially for the head of engineering, to initiate engineering feats, which is
Mhm.
essentially the core of the company, right?
Yes. 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 Nice. So, Aishwarya, if you were to give some advice to the young lawyers who are starting out today, where people are confused to should they go in house, should they go with law firm, should they start their own practice, should they go and start their practice in the court, with all these innovations happening in the AI, people are very uncertain these days. So, if you want to give some advice to somebody who's starting out today, what advice would you give them?
First and foremost, I think I would say that choose to do something that you actually really enjoyed doing in law school. Like, pick your
Hmm.
favorite subject in law school, because, and that could be anything, right? Like, you could love, absolutely love the Companies Act, but you might really hate sitting on a desk and working constantly. So then figure out, then I would say do corporate litigation.
Hmm.
But it comes down to what subject you really enjoyed doing, and really understand yourself, which is why doing internships of different in different organizations is super important, whether you're doing it in a law firm or in-house or with a practicing lawyer. It is crucial that you actually give all of those things a try while you're studying, because it will give you an insight into what aptitude you have as a lawyer, as well as what interests you have, because skills can
Hmm.
be developed.
Right.
Skills can be developed, but interest can't be suddenly infused. So
Hmm.
pick the subject that you liked doing in law school, that you liked studying, because that is going to become your Bible in once you start working. Like, if because the Companies Act is a Bible in itself. Like, it's everything.
I agree.
And
Yeah. Yeah.
if you're going to go into a corporate law firm and then say, no, I don't like doing this at all, I much preferred like property law, then why are you here?
Right.
So pick the subject that you like doing and really
Hmm.
identify your skills, because, and if anybody tells you that no, it's impossible to switch between like litigation and then corporate law, don't believe them. Don't believe them.
Hmm.
You can switch, and you can make that switch at any point in time. For that matter, if you don't know what you like, then just go into something general. It's okay, you
Hmm.
can figure it out. But I would always, like I said before, please start with something that is ensuring that law is the core function, where somewhere where
Hmm.
law is the core function, and um, so that you get the right kind of training, because that kind of training is not easily available in house. In house, you want somebody who already knows what they're doing.
Right. Expert
People
to be.
in house don't have the time, or yeah, people do in house don't have the time to train you. They can't.
Hmm.
And what you learn in law school versus what you practice is very different. So
Very different.
it's
Yeah.
important to get the right kind of training first. In house, I definitely recommend it. Like, it's a good life, but after you're trained, after you have that confidence.
Hmm. Interesting. Very good.
That would be
Very
my
good.
advice. Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much, Aishwarya, for summing this up so beautifully. And I'm sure the people who are watching us, hearing you, would take your advice and be expert in one field before applying themselves into the world of in-house. Because though it looks very cushy and comforting from outside, I'm sure there are so many challenges which come on day-to-day basis, which will put you to think that, oh my god, I was better doing just one law in that particular small team of an of a law firm versus now I am thrown out here in the ocean where everybody's asking for me, everybody's demanding things from me, and I am answerable to everybody because I am the only lawyer in the army
Yes,
of engineers and MBA grads. They're looking up to me.
absolutely. Absolutely. And that's actually a very important point, because when you're working in a law firm under other lawyers, they're going to take the responsibility of your work. But when you're
Yeah,
working in-house, that sense of responsibility, it kind of hits you at one point that, oh, what I say goes. Like if I make a mistake, there's nobody above me to correct that mistake. So I have to be 100,000, 10,000 times more careful about the work that I churn out. And that sense of, that's a burden of responsibility
hmm,
that I don't think is fair to put on a new fresh grad.
all right,
So because they really don't know what's going on. It's really
correct.
they're in a sea, and like you said, you're the only lawyer in an army of MBA grads and engineers, and you don't know what's happening. So, a lot of times as a fresh grad, you don't even know that you can actually go back and ask the team questions, because
Mm.
you're just programmed to do.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
just, oh, you need a contract, fine, I will do. Oh, and then you start drafting, and then you say, hey, I don't have all of this information. What do I do? It doesn't strike you that like you can actually go back to them and say, hey, give me this information. You
all
haven't you
right,
haven't given
all
it
right,
to me.
okay. Mm. Yeah, I
That
think
is
that's
also
that's
training.
that's the experience. I think.
Yes.
Awesome, awesome. Superb, superb. This has been a great chat, Aishwarya. I really enjoyed the way you articulated all your answers and the wisdom which you shared, and the love for your theaters which you spoke about. And I'm sure you would find more avenues and opportunities to pursue that love as well. And would love to see you on stage, man, sometime.
Thank you, Prayank. And when I do actually go on stage, if I do play a play, I will invite you for sure. I do dance often
Please
enough,
do.
so you're
Awesome.
welcome.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah, that'll be great. That'll be a blast, I'm sure. Lovely. Thank you again for sharing your
Anytime,
time
you're welcome
and the
anytime.
lovely wisdom, Aishwarya. It was great to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me, Prayank. It was a lovely chat, and you really made me think a lot, because I certainly didn't expect some of the questions that you asked, and I had a lovely time. So, thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank My pleasure, my pleasure. Thank you so much.